I didn't remember it wrong. I remembered it safer. The memory didn't disappear. It softened. Like a photograph left too long in the sun, the edges remained while the contrast slowly drained away. Nothing alarming. Nothing obvious. I could still tell the story. I just told it without the parts that made my chest tighten. In the lab, we used to say memory was storage. Later, I learned it behaves more like editing. Every recall is a reopening. Every reopening is a chance to adjust. And the ego doesn't ask memory to lie. It asks it to be kind. Number 10. The micro scene opens with a man alone at night, replaying a past conversation in his head, pacing slowly, stopping just before the moment he felt exposed, breath evening out as the scene cuts short. The psychology label is selective recall. The mechanism begins when ego threat activates stress, narrowing remembered detail to moments that preserve self-image. The pattern breaks when the uncomfortable second never returns. The human trigger is self-protection, mirrored by the line, "Memory looks away where the ego flinches." Number 9. The micro scene shifts to a woman telling a familiar story to friends, smile steady, skipping a detail she once stumbled over, laughter landing exactly where it always does. The psychology label is narrative pruning. The mechanism trims destabilizing fragments during retelling, reinforcing a cleaner version with each repetition. The pattern breaks when the omission feels natural. The human trigger is social ease, mirrored by the line, "What threatens harmony fades from recall." Number 8. The micro scene shows a student reviewing exam results, eyes passing quickly over a poor score, lingering on the better ones, shoulders dropping as the average looks acceptable. The psychology label is relief-weighted memory. The mechanism rewards partial recall that reduces emotional load, teaching memory which details to keep accessible. The pattern breaks when relief arrives before accuracy. The human trigger is emotional release, mirrored by the line, "Memory keeps what calms." Number 7. The micro scene follows a parent recalling a conflict, voice softening, harsh words replaced by gentler phrasing, the listener nodding and understanding. The psychology label is affective smoothing. The mechanism replaces emotionally charged elements with softer substitutes, reducing internal friction. The pattern breaks when the softened version feels true. The human trigger is relational comfort, mirrored by the line, "Memory trades sharpness for peace." Number 6. The micro scene presents a colleague explaining a past mistake, framing it as a learning moment. Posture upright, eyes steady as responsibility diffuses. The psychology label is moral reframing. The mechanism reshapes recall to preserve moral self-image, aligning past actions with present values. The pattern breaks when the reframed memory feels responsible. The human trigger is self-respect, mirrored by the line, "Memory edits to keep you good." Number 5. The micro scene captures a leader remembering a failed decision, emphasizing external factors, minimizing personal choice, tone calm and assured. The psychology label is ego-serving reconstruction. The mechanism reallocates blame within memory, reducing internal threat by altering causality. The pattern breaks when guilt no longer surfaces. The human trigger is dignity preservation, mirrored by the line, "Memory rearranges cause to protect worth." Number 4. The micro scene freezes on an old photograph pinned to a board. Notes scribbled around it, rewritten over time, the original annotation crossed out. The psychology label is memory consolidation bias. The mechanism locks the adjusted version into long-term storage, preventing access to the original emotional trace. The pattern breaks when the old meaning cannot be retrieved. The human trigger is identity stability, mirrored by the line, "Once memory hardens, The past cannot argue. The photo does not change. The crossed-out note stays crossed. The first version is gone. Number 3. The micro scene shows a family dinner paused mid-sentence, a person defending their recollection confidently, others exchanging brief glances. The psychology label is identity defense. The mechanism fuses memory with self-concept, rejecting contradictory accounts as threats. The pattern breaks when disagreement feels personal. The human trigger is belonging, mirrored by the line, "Memory protects who you are among others." The glances remain unspoken. The voice stays steady. The memory holds. Number 2. The micro scene depicts a woman rereading old messages, selecting only those that support her version of events, closing the app with a quiet nod. The psychology label is confirmatory recall. The mechanism retrieves supportive evidence while suppressing conflicting records, reinforcing ego-safe memory. The pattern breaks when closure arrives. The human trigger is self-consistency, mirrored by the line, "Memory gathers allies." The messages stay selected. The others remain unseen. The story aligns. Number 1. The micro scene ends in silence. A familiar story replayed internally. Edges smoothed, emotional charge absent, the revised memory settling as truth. The psychology label is ego-stabilized recall. The mechanism integrates the edited version as baseline reality, removing discomfort from future access. The pattern breaks when recall feels effortless. The human trigger is peace-seeking, mirrored by the line, "Memory changes so the ego can rest." The silence remains. The story no longer stings. The past feels settled. Changed memories leave residue, not as confusion, as certainty. You don't feel dishonest, you feel consistent. The most effective protection doesn't erase the past, it rewrites how it feels. If something here felt familiar, that sensation is not nostalgia. It is recognition brushing against the edit. This channel exists to slow memory long enough to notice what changed. Stay, because the quietest defense of the ego happens after the moment has already passed.